It's great to have you here on the Clark Howard Show. You know, our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you make better financial decisions in your life. And I'm going to begin today with one of the important things that happens with what I do, and that is I have to be willing to modify my advice as the reality changes. There's such a habit of saying, oh, well, you should do this, this, and this, and not adapting to circumstances change. So there's some stuff I've said that is no longer accurate, and I want to correct it straight ahead about what happens in the car market. And also, there's a big fight going on about Amazon that you need to know because it involves your health and safety. And I want to make sure you know how this plays out for you if you are a routine, regular Amazon shopper. So I have said for a good while that the balance of power when you want to trade in a car or you want to sell a used car you have, that the balance of power has shifted to you as a consumer because of your ability to get price quotes on selling a car rather than the traditional way of trading one in and never figuring out what you're actually getting for your trade-in because of all the financial jujitsu they do with the dealer with what you're paying for the new vehicle you're getting, what you're getting for the trade-in. By the time it's all done, you could be ripped off thousands of dollars. So that's why I became so excited about the sell your car thing that was pioneered by CarMax. And CarMax has been a game changer for people buying a car without doing all the dirty dealing and the games and the grind and all that. The price, you know what the price is going to be, all of that. That's why CarMax keeps growing and growing and growing market share in the used vehicle market. And then they've got this company that came like a flash, had a lot of problems, now seems to have righted itself, Carvana, which does online what CarMax does principally in person. And so I have recommended for a number of years that when you're looking to get a new-to-you vehicle, either new or used, that instead of just going to the dealer and saying, what you going to give me for my trade-in? What you do instead is you get a price from CarMax and Carvana on that vehicle, and you then have a marker that if you do decide to trade in, you got that. Or if you're just trying to get rid of a vehicle, you get what should be a pretty good value for your used vehicle. Well, that was then. This is now. And there's a survey that's done each year. It was written up in Barron's magazine. And today, CarMax, that used to offer people you could go to and get a sell your own car price, CarMax now is the best price 6% of the time. Last survey, 29% of the time. Carvana, 7% of the time. I mean, they have really decided that they are reining in what they offer for your car when you go to them to sell it to them. And there are specific market reasons why CarMax and Carvana have reined in what they'll offer for your car. And it's all about this thing I've talked about for the last year, how the price of used vehicles has been going down. And they're down roughly 30% of where they were at peak. And so think about if you're Carvana or CarMax and you buy inventory, then it's as it sits there, the value of that inventory has been steadily going down, down, down till they get the vehicle sold. So both of them, in order to maintain profitability, and in Carvana's circumstance to become profitable again, have reduced what they'll pay you for your vehicle in order to maintain profitability in a time that the prices are going down on inventory. So in the survey, the best offer people have received is from a site I don't talk about really at all, Cars.com. Right now, 56% of the time, they are giving the best offer. Car Gurus, 31% of the time. Big increases for both of them in the offers they are making being better than others. So this is a shift in the marketplace. You gotta know if you are trying to price out selling your used vehicle, or you are pricing out to compare when the dealer makes you an offer. If you do decide to find out what they'll offer you as a trade-in, you then will really know, is it a good offer or not? By the way, in my guide to how to do all this stuff, one of the things you want to know also is that when you're negotiating a deal on a new to you used car or a new car, never tell them you have a trade-in. They say, are you trading in a vehicle? You say, nah, I don't think so. I'm just interested, what's the price of this vehicle? And remember, I want you doing all that online, not in person, by the way. And then only at the end you say, well, I mean, you've already locked in what that price is going to be on the new to you used car or the new car. Only then do you say, well, what would you pay me for my trade-in if I traded in a vehicle? I'm not really sure I want to trade it in, but I'm just curious, what could I get for it? That way you've treated the transactions as discrete transactions. One is the purchase of what you're getting, and you get the price solidly for that. And the other is the value of the trade-in. So you know, based on having done the pre-shopping I want you to do, what that's worth.
And then in some states, it's to your benefit, right, to trade in your car if you're buying from a dealer because of taxes.
Right. So in a number of states, you know, there's a lot of tax involved when you buy a vehicle. What they do in a number of states is they net out your additional spend, subtracting what you are receiving on trade-in, so it reduces the total purchase tax you have to pay. And so you can add that in. So let's say there's a difference that is meaningful between what they offer you as a trade-in and what you find somewhere else. To see if it's worth it or not to not trade in there, you add in what that tax saving would be, and you come up with a net savings you have by selling it somewhere else versus trading it in. Did I explain that okay?
I think so, yes.
It's a confusing thing.
Alex in Virginia says, hi, Clark. I just started my first real-world job and got my Vanguard retirement packet in the mail. In the fine print, it says there's a $50 annual plan record-keeping fee on top of the expense ratios of the funds. It feels like I'm being ripped off. Is there any way around this?
Okay. So, Alex, there are ways around it if you work for an employer that absorbs the plan record-keeping fee for you. And some employers do, and most do not. So an IRA will not have this kind of fee because IRAs are pretty simple. They don't have the endless regulations that a 401k has. So there's real hard costs for a plan administrator for operating a 401k because of the endless government regulations. And so that's why there's that fee. The question always, absorbed by the employer, absorbed by you. So, yeah, it is a ripoff. The good news in a plan with Vanguard is the expense ratios are crazy low. So your money at least is being invested extremely efficiently.
Faye in Ohio says, I have a unique situation. My son is buying my home as an investment for which he borrowed the money to buy it. I can no longer carry homeowner's insurance on it as I no longer own it. Insurance will cost him approximately 25% more to insure it as a landlord, even though I'm not paying him rent. Is there any way I can fully insure my home, even though I no longer own it? Thanks for any help you can offer.
Okay. I haven't had this question in a long time. When it's a family member and they're not paying rent, but they're occupying the property, many insurers will not treat that as a property subject to landlord hire rates for insuring the home. So what your son needs to do is he needs to shop around for the homeowner's insurance. Tell the agent, or if he's dealing with a 800 number insurer, say, okay, so this is not a rental property. My mom is living in it in order to support her financially. I own the property. I need to insure it. And you may find that this discriminatory homeowner's insurance premium goes away with other insurers.
Cliff in Idaho says, what kind of opportunities are there for young adults with college degrees who start in more blue-collar jobs in order to get their foot in the door to grow from the ground up in a company where the white-collar jobs are more limited and pay well? Finding work in a business environment is really tough these days for grads without a lot of side work in a field or internships. If you're getting a basic business degree, what kinds of companies or service industries, etc., have the ability to grow fairly quickly? And is there any evidence that this is a good avenue to grow a career versus finding a professional entry-level job as among many other new hires in the same boat?
Okay, so gosh, I love your question, Cliff, particularly because this year's college graduates have had a tougher time in the job market than college graduates have had when the federal government was just flooding the economy with money during COVID and immediately the emergency period of COVID. And so the job market has shifted to a lower gear, and who's getting hurt among college graduates are people who don't have a specific skill that their degree is in, like you think about engineering or a specific function in computer science or whatever, or something in the medical field that's a specific skill. So when somebody graduates with a general business degree, you're considered to be what they call a soft skill hire. And soft skill hires are having a much harder time navigating getting into a career track with a company. So you're talking about if you go blue collar track. So if you, and I'm going to come later to the thing you said about how do I find fast growing industries and all that. If you find a company that the primary purpose of that company involves a skill set that you would enjoy, if you have to go take a technical school course or something, that you have that blue-collar skill that's central to the mission of that company, and being trained in that skill gets you a good initial paycheck and gives you lots of cred because you have the college degree in business, and then you have the skill, and then you develop the experience working on the job in that field that's core to their mission. If I'm making sense, that is the best way I know for you to use an additional skill to advance in a particular company. Now, regardless of industry, companies' long-term growth is based on how well a company is run. I mean, you think about all the fields where you've got some players that are doing really, really well, others that are not doing well in the same business. So it's really about the trajectory of growth based on the quality of the management of a company. Workers always benefit or suffer based on the quality of management. Great management leads to growth. Lame management leads to, well, maybe extinction for a company. So coming up ahead,
Well, you said you were going to talk a little more about industries.
Thank you. Thank you, Krista. I
Sure.
am so flaky. Isn't it true?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny.
You know, I was just
how often do you get Clark Stinks about just that? I said, well, I'm going to address.
I do want to just say what I was envisioning when you were talking about it. And I did work some blue collar jobs after college too. Like I did a bunch of different stuff, and I worked for a temp agency just to try to get a job. But for example, if there's a company that you admire and love and think you'd want to be in that business, like say it's a delivery, like a FedEx or UPS, I would become like a driver if I was able to. Just because if you do work in a company and you move up into more of a white collar position, it's good to know the other positions in that company because it'll give you a really good perspective, and you might meet people in the company when you're doing that kind of thing.
So if we're going to go with that train of thought for a second, there are company cultures where one of the things that's a point of pride is their management team all came up internal. And, they started off as a package car driver at UPS or whatever. Then there are other companies, and UPS today has an outsider as a CEO they brought in, which was so in the news because that was so not their normal pattern. So their corporate culture is promoting from within, from package car person all the way up. And so there are companies that have that kind of culture of growing their people from within and having great pride about it. And there are others who just like, workers are just disposable, and then we hire these other people and we hire this from outside or whatever. So that is a really good point. The thing that I promised that I forgot was what?
Talking about industries where it might be good to get into.
Oh, okay. Well, I kind of started with that. Funny enough, that the clear opportunities in someone's 20s coming out of college to make a really good paycheck are in basically the three fields I mentioned, but they got to be things you're interested in. Something with a skill in engineering, training in engineering, something in computer science, and there are certifications you can get after you've gotten your college degree that qualify you for a number of jobs in the computer field. And then the third requires so much training in medicine.
So if you have a business degree and maybe you learn more about, you get a data certification or, something like that to further your education for a company that would need that.
Because lists for years have had those three general categories as the area that lead to the greatest opportunity for fresh college graduates. And often the three fields are the ones that have the best income and income growth over the course of a career. And if you don't have interest in medicine, you don't have interest in engineering, you don't have interest in computer science, then you got to go a different path. And it's just the skills we were talking about earlier. So thank you for bringing me back on task. You have no idea. You can't imagine. My son-in-law, when he was dating my daughter, one day said to her, "Your father is like the flakiest person I've ever met."
She told you?
She told me. And so I said to him, I said, that was a very good observation you had, because it's completely true.
Not every future father-in-law would feel that way about that statement.
No, I know that about myself. I am truly the absent-minded professor. That's an expression people used to use.
Yes. Well, Clark Stinks is tomorrow, so let's not worry about that today.
Okay. So coming ahead, though, is something you got to know if you are an irregular or a regular Amazon shopper, and especially if you're Amazon Prime, you got to be aware of. Amazon is an incredible organization. The quality of their logistics is mind-blowing. I can't think of another organization on earth that handles the ability of sourcing, inventorying, and delivering goods to the level of sophistication and efficiency as Amazon does. It's amazing what they've become. But Amazon's nature of its business has steadily changed. And Amazon is a retailer and also this distribution machine. And a lot of people just don't know. Prime members aren't really cluing in that almost, it's not almost everything, about 3/4 of the stuff that you click to purchase on Amazon is not actually being sold by Amazon. You're paying Amazon, it's being delivered by Amazon, but it's third party. We just had the thing with the complaints we've been getting from people who are so used to being able to return things that they buy on Amazon that now more and more people who sell through Amazon don't accept returns. You've bought a no sales final thing, all sales final. And so when you are buying on Amazon, one thing I wish Amazon did was make it much more prominent that you're not actually buying something from Amazon as the seller. So the distinction is significant to you, not just on the returns, but Amazon just lost a case with the federal government because Amazon has been saying, hey, if we sold something that could kill a kid or whatever, we're not responsible because it wasn't actually us as the merchant, it was somebody else. But you don't really get good informed consent. And Amazon refuses to send recall notices to its customers on items that Amazon markets on its platform, sells to you. Your credit card statement says Amazon. The delivery is done by an Amazon truck. And then Amazon says, not us. We're just a third-party logistics provider. Quote. So they lost the suit. Now they're appealing. But the point is, Amazon has sold any of a number of products that have been very unsafe. One example is they've been selling hair dryers on their platform that are supposed to not electrocute you if you drop it in water. But they're selling all these hair dryers, apparently, that are not safe from you being electrocuted. Just one example, carbon monoxide detectors that actually don't detect carbon monoxide. There are any of a number selling kids' clothing that doesn't meet flammability standards. And if the clothing catches on fire, the consequences, obviously, to a child, unreal. There's one after another that Amazon refuses to recall. So now, hopefully, Amazon will think this through and go ahead and comply and notify you when there's been a recall on an item and let you know, do not use it. Amazon right now, if you ask for money back on an item that turns out to be dangerous, will give you your money back even if the third-party seller won't. But just know that this is part of Amazon's mentality that on the one hand, they say, oh, we're Amazon, we're Amazon, we're Amazon. This is where you go to buy it. This is who you pay. This is who delivers it. But if there's a problem, we're not involved. You need to know that. And companies that behave ethically, treat their employees well, deserve your business. This is a case where Amazon needs to look at itself in a mirror and behave more ethically, my opinion.
And there are lots of sites that are now selling third-party things like
Walmart.com.
Also like big department stores, like clothing department stores. I'm seeing all sorts of crazy stuff sold by third parties on their websites.
Department stores still exist?
Yes, they do, but they're trying
funny.
to keep existing.
I saw a chart just a couple of days ago on how department stores basically almost don't exist anymore, how irrelevant they are. So you still shop?
I mean, when I'm looking for something online normally, I'm talking about their websites. If I'm searching for an item to find a deal on it, sometimes I'll find that item randomly on a department store website. And then I'm like, oh, it's third-party seller. So you have to watch out all around for this.
I can't remember what decade I was last in a department store. They were never part of my mentality or my shopping.
Well, I've been in one recently. All right. Frederick in Georgia says, for the first time ever, the Amazon driver came to my door and asked for a passcode to give me the package. I never had a missed or lost delivery, just my wife and me at home, and the value of $165 was less than prior high value orders we've made. Amazon customer no service is unable to say why. What did I do? The AI thought of me as a menace.
Frederick, it is not that Amazon thinks you're a menace. They're having so many problems with misdelivered packages and people,
Porch pirates.
yeah, impersonating and all that, that this is, Amazon does not disclose what the threshold is of when you now have to have these PIN codes, but the PIN codes have become more and more routine, particularly for people who live in multifamily housing. You live in apartments, you live in condos. You're going to find much more often that at thresholds Amazon does not disclose in terms of price point because they don't want criminals to know, oh, well, make sure it's less than so-and-so. You're going to find this to be a commonplace occurrence that they will not the driver will not hand over the package unless you have the secret code.
That's a good thing, right? More security.
So, okay. So often it's like with the credit card company when they decline your transaction because their software says, oh, they think this could be a fraudulent charge made by somebody else. They say they're doing it for your protection. They're really doing it for their protection.
You just can't say anything nice about Amazon. Come on.
Wait. No. I'm just saying that they didn't come up with the PIN code as a consumer protection. They did it to protect themselves. Mm-hmm. But as far as something Amazon's doing, I don't have a problem at all with them doing this because of all the problems with fraud and misdelivered packages.
Tammy in Nevada.
Was that a nice thing to say about them?
Yes. Tammy in Nevada says, Clark, I failed to follow your advice and got myself into a 3% 7-1 ARM that goes variable in 2026. We owe $490,000 on a $1.3 million home. I passed on a refi opportunity back in 2020 at 2% due to hubris, and now I am panicking. Should I start saving to buy down my rate in 2026 or refi now? Please save me from my ARM.
All right, so
Adjustable rate mortgage.
Yeah,
if you don't
Tammy, stop beating yourself up, okay? Lots of people, for any of a number of reasons, did not lock in a fixed-rate long-term loan when they were able to take out a low-rate 5-1 or 7-1 ARM. What's lucky for you is you got a 7 and not a 5. If you had a 5-1 ARM, you would be present right now trying to figure out what to do. You got 2 more years potentially to ride this, and interest rates are going to come down. And so you will have an opportunity to refi. You're not going to get the 2% that you could have gotten 4 years ago. Chill on that. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's where things are. So there's no advantage to you refining right now because you have the benefit of time. You've got, some amount close to 2 years in front of you that when interest rates get to a point that you feel comfortable going for it, and I'll tell you the thing you want to look at, 15-year loan refis. If you can afford on your $490,000 balance, $490,000 balance, if you can afford the payments on a 15-year, the 15-year loans historically carry a rate of 1/2 to 1 full point lower interest rate, and you pay so much less interest over time. So that would be the sweet spot for you when rates are lower, which they are certainly going to be, barring some unexpected event, in 25. You'll probably have a window sometime in 25. There will be a good point for you to lock in a new long-term loan. And do not beat yourself up that it's higher than what you could have had, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Please have some peace and kindness to yourself.
Anne in New York says, this isn't a question but an update. I've been a Visible user for a few years now. Thanks, Clark. Our family took a recent cruise to Greece from Italy. Intimidated by the prospect of sourcing and swapping local SIM cards, we were happy to hear that Visible now offers Global Pass in Europe. It worked really well for most of us, but you do need to follow the full instructions to activate the pass and toggle certain phone settings before you leave home for full function. Also very important, especially on a cruise ship, be mindful that you don't want to accidentally ping multiple countries' networks as you travel, as you'll be charged anew for each one you connect to. Full disclosure, on one of our days, we all found the network connection to be struggling, and about a week later got an unprompted apology email and credit to our accounts for their network difficulties.
Wow.
Overall, well done, Visible. It was great not to have to worry about using different phone numbers or unfamiliar apps.
So Visible with Visible Plus is really offering a compelling deal for high data using, people who want high-speed data and all that, especially if you learn over time that Visible works well for you. With the new annual plan, you pay $395, which works out to $32 a month, and you're done for the year with it. Now, if you do the Global Pass, you get 1 day free per month, and then I think you pay $10 a day after. If you're on a relatively short trip, it's a manageable expense. If you're on a longer trip, that's when you absolutely want to buy a local SIM. And once you've learned how to do a local SIM, it's easier than you might think. But this worked for you, and that's great. On the cruise ships, do not have your phone in anything other than airplane mode while you're on a cruise ship, unless you'd like to come home to a potential $15,000 or so bill for having the cell phone on and not in airplane mode when you're on a ship.
And I just want to give a shout out again to our new cell phone plan finder tool, because it also includes, like, we ask you questions like if you travel internationally, if you need international data and calling. And it's an amazing tool. Nobody else has anything like this. It's completely free. You just go to clark.com/phone plan finder. And it's, phone plan finder, or you can find it if you go to clark.com. And it'll spit out to you. You put in all your specifics of what kind of cell phone plan you need, how many lines, and it'll tell you what the best plans are according to our database that we're constantly updating.
So this was really important to me. It's like what we did so successfully with video content and streaming, where we've been able to save people. I hear over and over again feedback from people how much money we were able to save them on that, because it's so hard for people to understand how to get the video content.
Yeah, we have a streaming tool, which is awesome.
Which was our first really comprehensive kind of tool that is personalized to your exact viewing. So we came up with this one that took a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of labor hours to do this for cell phone service, because we so overpay for cell phone service because we're just creatures of habit, of inertia. So I was out walking just last night, and this woman stops me with her dog, and she says, I can't even tell you how much money I'm saving. I mean, I did this Visible thing you talk about. It's been great. And I'm saving all this money. And it was like I'd given her a bar of gold. She was so excited. So I want you to be able to take these things that seem too complicated to be able to make a smart money decision and overcome. Think about, it used to be, if you watch sports, what did you see? You saw car commercials and beer commercials. The entire event you were watching. Now what do you see? You see Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, and then the auto and homeowners insurers.
Right now you see political ads.
Oh. So that's what I'm going to see through football season?
Yes.
So,
God, help us
but anyway,
all.
you got, Jake from State Farm, and you got Flo from Progressive, and so these two industries are companies that get you to sign up with them, not realizing there could be much cheaper choices. We talked back 2 or 3 months ago about how auto insurers, the ones that heavily advertise, their rates are so much higher than companies that don't, but people don't even know about these other companies. I guess that'll be the next one we tackle, if we can figure out how to tackle the auto and homeowners insurance market with a tool. But for the cell phone guide, this is all about you taking control. And my goal is for you to save $1,000 to $1,500 a year on your cell phone bill. If you're on a family plan, saving $1,000 or more, that's easy using our tool. And the tool will steadily be refined. And as plans change and new companies come along, we'll have that for you as well. Because I don't want you wasting money. I want that money in your pocket, because that's what we're all about, right? You learning ways to save more and spend less and avoid getting ripped off. And tomorrow, as you know, if you're a regular podcast listener, you watch our YouTube show, you know that Friday is my favorite day of the Clark Howard Show, because that's when we have Clark Stinks. Because I love going to school and hearing from you straight out where you feel I missed the mark, where I didn't serve you well. So tune in tomorrow so you can hear Clark Stinks, because that's what we start with on Fridays. And have a great day.